getting the knowledge you need, the intel that you need, so you can trust your instincts, because it isn't horrible to have those gut instincts and to go off of them. It's just building the knowledge that can support that instinct, and it's not emotional.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. The other day, I was in a conversation with a business owner, and he walked up to me and he said, Dr. Sabrina, I'm just done. I'm so done. And I said, whoa, tell me what's going on. And he started to share with me about his recent hire. And he said, I hired this guy. I thought he had potential. He was doing so good. He was learning really quickly and getting the things that he needed to do. And he was showing up on time and he seems really responsible. And then today he just texted me and said he's not coming in and he's not going to be back. He said, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. And he said, this happens over and over. I hire team members. I think they're doing well. Then they do something that surprises me, or they just quit showing up. And I said, wow, it sounds like you have hiring PTSD. And if that's you, if you have that feeling of, I just dread hiring in my business, I'm not successful with it. I never know what I'm going to get. Even when I think I've hired someone who's going to do a good job, they end up disappointing me. It's really time to do something different. You are likely following traditional hiring practices when you're having that experience. And traditional hiring practices actually set us up to mishire 75% of the time. It's time to do something different. It's time to do something that's going to be more effective for you. 9 out of 10 small business owners have no system in their business to attract A players to their team. In my How to Hire the Best course, I teach you how to create a system to attract, hire, and retain A players to your team. We are seeing business owners who've had one hiring disaster after another finally succeed in hiring not just one A player, but going on to build a team of A players. You absolutely can do this. The How to Hire the Best system is a very simple system. It's not complex. It does not take huge amounts of effort. In fact, I've intentionally created the course in such a way that busy business owners can go through the course. You can have team members participate with you so they can support you in building your How to Hire the Best system. And you can take those small steps forward from week to week that lead to big change over time. So if you've had a 75% or greater failure rate when it comes to hiring A players, it's time to change that. Join me in the upcoming How to Hire the Best course. I would love to get you on track and get you some A players on your team. Go to tapthepotential.com/course. I'll see you there. Okay, welcome to the Profit by Design podcast, Christine. I'm glad to have you here with us again.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to connect with another associate who has the same purposes and values that we do. So thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. We've had you on the podcast. I've lost count of how many times now. I'm going to guess it's probably about 4 or 5 times. Most recently, you've been on the podcast to celebrate the launch of your book, Profit First, for lawn care and landscape for the industry. And like you said, as you started off, we share so many common values. You are dedicated to supporting business owners in growing their business strategically and doing it in a profitable way. And you deliver with such high integrity. One of the things that has always impressed me about Christeen is if there's a problem, she's going to dig in and she's going to solve it. But not only is she going to solve it, she's going to create a tool or a resource so that it doesn't happen again. And she has it handy to share with other business owners. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what you've done with Profit First for lawn care and landscape is that you've created a lot of tools, but the tools are not just specific to lawn care and landscape businesses. There, you have a lot of different industries getting the book, downloading the tools, and benefiting from them. And so maybe let's just start there with what is it that when you're creating a tool, how do you go about doing that? And what's the purpose? What do you have in mind as you're doing that?
Yeah, so it's kind of all fresh in my mind because I just finished another amazing tool. And it was one of the gaps that we identified actually, from writing the book. So since the book released in the toolbox, we have the free toolbox that's associated with it. And it's all built around to support a business in growing, efficiently while maximizing their profit. So that was like the whole point of the book and the tools. So we identified, it's important to know your ROI, right, on your team members, on your equipment, because this industry, along with other trade industries, they love equipment. Like these, I always say, like, it's fun to buy these great toys and, these big old, machinery that you could get in and dig up big holes and all these other things. But it has to have a purpose, right? It's like it all needs to be profitable. And that's the big kind of, deer in the headlights when you ask that question. Is that piece of equipment profitable? Is it producing revenue in your business, or is it just bleeding your profit? And this is an answer that, trade industries, lawn care and landscape businesses, they don't know. Like, they don't know how to get that answer. There's this gap. And so we have a tool in the book that walks you through how to calculate your ROI on your equipment, as well as, your team members. But there was this gap of, we don't know how to, put the information together prior for the equipment use. So I just finished a tool that identifies how much their equipment, what equipment they have, what was the cost of it and its use of life. And then with the increase, when are you going to have to replace it? Like, how many years? Is it 1 year? Is it 5 years? And with the, inflation, what is the cost going to be when it comes time to replace it? And how can we plan for that? So in the process of designing a tool, I look at what is the gap, what answers do they not have, and how can we get them there with the least amount of friction and the, not the accounting know-how like people, in our industry might have. So they don't have to be number geniuses or wizards. I want them to be able to just plug in as little as possible and get as much information from what they're entering into the tool.
Yeah, that's really your sweet spot. And you're so good at identifying, what are the questions that people are asking that they don't know the answers to. And for many business owners out there, regardless of the industry that you're in, I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome where it's hard to admit, I don't understand my numbers very well. I don't know what these reports mean. And I surely don't know how to use this information to do anything strategic to be profitable. And so you have really dug in with the lawn, and pardon the pun, dug in, but you've really dug in with the lawn care and landscape businesses to identify those gaps, those tools that are missing. And you're doing it in a way that they don't have to have deep expertise on the accounting side of their business to be able to come up with answers that they can use strategically to help them be more profitable. And I know the lawn care and landscape industry has huge profit potential. That industry, there's so much profit that is just not being tapped into. So talk to me about what is the profit potential in this industry?
Oh, goodness. It really depends on your business model. There's different business models out there to where, lawn care and landscape, it's vast on how you can build your business. And there is always kind of this ongoing joke about, especially in this industry, like my business is special. And then people would say, it isn't really special, like they're all the same. And it's true, they are. Each one of them is special, right? Like I always say, your business is not John's business. So let's approach your business as your own, because what works for John isn't going to work for you. And, there's some businesses that want to grow. Growth isn't all about profit and revenue. It's about, how can we grow our team? What other areas of the business, can we grow and that we're interested in? So we have those conversations with people that we work with a lawn application company. I've seen profits as high as 70%. So, it's just where they go out, they do a lawn application, it's just spray application for fertilizing. And that's very low labor. I would say your labor cost can be your biggest, depending on, are you using a truck with a mounted tank? Are you using, like a backpack? Like what are you using to apply your product? So that has a lot of potential. And a client that I worked with, I told him, I'm going to have to rewrite the book now, because he has systematized his business so much. And he is a landscape company and, with design. And those aren't always as profitable because you've got a lot of heavy equipment, you've got a lot of labor, you've got a lot of material. And those, will typically be around like 55%, 60%, maybe with good profit. And, he's managed to grow and design his business to where he's creeping up on that 70% profit margin, which is fantastic. So there is a ton of potential. And the potential really is in identifying who you serve, how you do your business, the services that you offer. So really the pumpkin plan strategies, right? Like niching down and then tying those in with profit first. So it gives you the right benchmarks to follow and manage that gives you those results. So you're not doing it emotionally. Like if you need to get rid of a service because it isn't profitable and it doesn't serve your market, you're not holding on to it because you have some emotional connection. You're letting it go so you can serve your clients better, the right ones, and maximize that profit. And that's what really makes your business special. Like you're in your own market, you have your own team working for you, you have your specialties, and it's just taking your business to the next level, getting dialed into the services, the profitability, how to systematize and automate your business, and even grow an amazing team of A players that contribute, to the entire vision.
You're speaking my language, Christine, because I just came off the Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart, and I was teaching about niche step 2 in the Tap the Potential solution, which is niching down with a clearly defined sweet spot, which follows design your business to be sustainably profitable, because you really cannot tap your profit potential unless you niche down with that clearly defined sweet spot. And you just laid out so elegantly how that applies in lawn care and landscape. One of the things you said that I'd never really considered, but it is such a key piece of this. Whenever we're looking at letting go of something in our business to be more profitable, to be more refined around our sweet spot, there's emotion involved. And typically we talk about letting go of team members, or we talk about letting go of clients and customers who don't serve or are not part of the sweet spot. You identified something else that is really key, and that's letting go of equipment, like the emotion connected to that. So say more about that. Like, what have you observed? What do you see?
Oh, these guys, they love equipment. And I'm sure, their spouses, I've heard, oh, I'm going to, kill them if they buy one more piece of equipment, or they'll buy it and it's like hidden in the back of the yard or something. And, they find out a week later because, typically their spouse is doing their books, which they don't love doing their books, but, they find out. So they like the idea of, the equipment. They like to play with the equipment. They like to use the equipment. It's fun. I think the other thing is there's this confusion with equipment that equipment can produce revenue. Like if you buy equipment, it's just going to make you money. And that's not always true. So, that's why it can't be emotional when you're buying equipment. You have to ask, why do we need this? Is it time? Is it going to produce revenue? When is the right time? Which we have tools that walk you through a process to help support those decisions. So it isn't emotional. The great thing about this industry is, if you're in groups and things like that, you're going to make friends, and they have these, pieces of equipment that may not serve your business. And I'm sure they will allow you to come play with them.
So make friends and go play with their equipment and let go of your equipment that's costing you and it's not.
Right. Yeah. And make sure it's making you money, because it's not always the solution. If you buy a new truck or, a skid steer or something, it doesn't mean it's going to make you money. You have to put it to work, and there has to be a plan in place. And you have to make sure you're pricing, correctly for it as well in your business. So that could be another thing to where, you might be confused over, well, we have this equipment, it should be making money, but it's not. Dig into the pricing. That's a huge piece, is where they don't know how to price. They're not tying it to job costing and profitability in their business, and they're bleeding profit, so they're addressing the wrong issue. It may not be about getting rid of the equipment. It's looking at, are you pricing it correctly? And you might have to raise your prices. That was one of the biggest challenges, when we rolled into 2022, is there was all this talk and focus around material because of the things that were happening in the world. There wasn't talk about gas, there wasn't talk about equipment, and there wasn't talk about labor. And then, the world happened. So they were naturally increasing their pricing by about, 5 to 6%. When really there should have been an increase of at a minimum 12.5%. And that's if you were caught up on a regular basis of increasing your pricing over the years.
Yes. And I know you see this too. A lot of business owners don't regularly increase prices, or they do just the bare minimum, like the 3 to 5% to keep up with inflation. And one of the things that I see over and over that's so detrimental is when you're just doing the bare minimum, you're not pricing for growth. And you're not creating an opportunity for you to grow and for your team to grow. And when you grow as a business owner, there's so much to learn. There's so much that we don't know as the business grows. And the skills that we had when we started the business got us to a certain point, but they won't get us to the next level. They won't get us to profitability. They brought in revenue, but they don't bring in profitability. And what I'm getting at is when you start your business, you say yes to every client and customer because you need to get revenue coming in the door. Well, if you keep doing that, you get this overweight business that has no sweet spot, and the business owner is working everywhere and things are very inefficient. And so a big growing point for business owners is recognizing that saying no and letting go is a very important skill set to go to the next level in the business. And what I love about what you're doing is you're providing tools in Profit First for lawn care and landscape businesses that allow them to look. They're easy tools to use, and they allow you to look strategically at your business without emotion involved. And it's that emotional piece. When we're in our head, when we're laying awake at night worrying about cash flow, we're making emotional decisions. We're not making strategic decisions. And you and I are both Profit First professionals. We talk with business owners day in, day out about the emotion involved in these strategic decisions. So I'm curious, from your perspective, Christeen, what have you observed that helps business owners as they're making these tough decisions, helps them to stay in that place of being strategic and doing what's in the best interest of the business owner and the business for it to grow?
Yeah. And I think that that's a good question because these guys, it's in this industry, people are, I think in any industry, but they are driven by emotion. Even raising that price, it is a strategic move. And there is the loss aversion that kicks in there as well, because they're like, oh my gosh, if I raise my prices, I'm going to lose these customers. So one of the things that I see that kind of interferes with moving from that emotional state into that strategic mindset is the learning. Like they need to learn more so they can build that trust and that comfort and that confidence. So I think a lot of it is tied to business acumen and really understanding, as we start out, like 10 years ago, I did not have the business acumen I have now, even 2 years ago. So, in working with business owners and doing what I do, or even connecting with other professionals, I'm always learning. I'm learning from our clients. I'm learning from my team members, even. I'm learning from associates. And that business acumen is what helps my trust and my confidence. And even with our clients, their trust and their confidence in their numbers. And they see things from a different perspective. So there's this switch that continues to happen. It's like this mountain you're constantly climbing. And you're discovering different terrain and, things that seemed really challenging and hard in the past, maybe when you started climbing this mountain, are super easy and you don't even think about them anymore. They're second nature. So I highly suggest, getting the knowledge you need, the intel that you need so you can trust your instincts, because it isn't horrible to have those gut instincts and to go off of them. It's just building the knowledge that can support that instinct, and it's not emotional.
Yeah, there's so much in what you said. And I think one of the things that happens is as we move from being our own echo chamber in our own head as business owners, and we realize, well, there's a lot out there that I don't know, and I want to start building my business acumen. And you start reading books like Profit First for lawn care and landscape businesses, How to Hire the Best. All those books have such great knowledge in it. And we read these books and then we think, I'm overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, there's so much I got to do. And I think there's a lot of value in connecting with these programs. Like you have programs that connect with your book. I have programs that connect with my books. And it's not just getting someone to teach you what's in the book and how to implement it. It's the other business owners that you get to connect with who are also working through these things themselves in the business. So you're surrounded by people who are a little bit ahead of you, maybe some people who are a little bit behind, and you have constant reinforcement for the learning and the growth. And when you start climbing that mountain and you're using new muscles and it feels really hard and you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have so far to go. That encouragement to just one step forward, just keep taking that one step forward. And it's that encouragement that comes from the others who've been there and done that I think makes the biggest difference. What do you think, Christine, in your experience?
Yeah, I agree. It's the one thing that we constantly hear is, wow, I realize, like in their takeaways, I realize we all have the same struggles. I'm not alone, right? Because being a business owner can be a very lonely place. So them sharing, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one here who doesn't have it all together. I feel so much better. It allows you that emotional and mental space to focus on what you need to do next versus, getting those trolls in your head and going, oh, I didn't do this right, or I didn't do that right, or I'm not where I want to be. It's the change between being proactive versus reactive, not just emotionally, mentally, but also in what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're in a small group, or whether it's an accountability group or small group coaching program, or even doing, a retreat of some sort with like-minded business owners, we all connect and grow from people that are in front of us, behind us, and even right beside us, because we're sharing, we're learning, we're open to that change. And I think that, and knowing you're not alone, and you could be vulnerable and say, gee, I don't know my numbers. And say, hey, that's okay. You don't have to be the driving force behind that. Just support it, be a cheerleader. So we talk a lot about recently about like the champion, like who's going to implement something in a business, who's going to take something on. Business owners don't always have the same strengths. So allowing them to accept that and say, you're great the way you are. Let's give this to somebody else to push and run with, so that way you're not managing everything. Like, you stay in your lane. Let's figure out who's going to cover the other 4.
Yeah. And, I was reflecting the other day on just the journey in entrepreneurship over the last 10 years or so, because the Pumpkin Plan came out 10 years ago. And what's so fascinating to me is how much innovation has happened in entrepreneurship over the last 10 years, where there are business systems for entrepreneurs that help you have a high quality of life, that help you be profitable. These systems did not exist 11 years ago. So for business owners who've been in business for 20 years and you're encountering some of these things, it can almost feel like, wow, I'm so far behind. But just remember, when you're encountering this, no, this is all new. This is all innovation that's happening. This is a rapidly changing world. So many of us are connected to each other. Christine and I are connected in multiple groups that we're in different ways. Like, there's probably 6 points of connection if we start sitting down and thinking about it. And you're innovating on Profit First. You're looking at specifics for lawn care and landscape businesses, and you're making things easier and easier and easier for these business owners. And so I say all that because if you're listening to this and you have this feeling of guilt or I'm so far behind, and let yourself off the hook, because a lot of this is brand new. And that's what's exciting, is you get to be a part of utilizing these tools, having the success in your business. And then you can be one of those that shares with others and helps to spread the word. Christine, for you as an author, I know when a book comes out, people read the book and then they give you feedback, and it sharpens your saw because you continue to learn and grow. What are some surprises for you since the Profit First for lawn care and landscape businesses came out?
Oh, surprises. That's kind of a tough one. So I think one of the things that surprised me is, I knew there was different levels of business owners, in different places. I think one of the things that surprised me was other ways that they need to be supported. So we came out and we said, okay, here's this book, here's these tools. And I like to go all in. I go all the way. I'm like, here's all this information. Other people don't process information like I do. So I had to figure out, how can I dial back enough, but still give them what they need. So, the Green Profit Toolbox is vast, and it's got all this information. And we try to create this, through the process of the book, these action steps that get you from the beginning to the end. But even through some of the processes, and I say it in the book, you may not be able to do this. You may need help. So there's a lot more help that I think the industry needed, and to get them even to the level that I was putting information out there. And now I've gone back and I'm trying to close some of those gaps and, see, well, where else can we help, someone at this level get to the next level? And, versus somebody who's been in the industry for 20 years and they're trying to, kind of clockwork their business to where it runs on its own and they can take, let's say, a 4-week vacation. So these tools really help the smaller people too in the industry who's just starting out. I think another surprise was, after writing the book, I had more time to dig into systems and automation that's out there in the industry. And one of the biggest challenges right now is labor, whether it's field labor or, operations labor for office help. And there are so many automations with software, like service software out there that they can really utilize. There's also a lot of technology that is coming out, they call this the green industry, that's really thinking about the future of the green industry as far as, electric mowers and other tools, and battery operated, and what's the return on investment on those, and kind of moving towards that area. So, and then it also saves on labor because you have these little robot mowers and other things. So there's all this conversation happening around technology and the advancement of technology, which is fascinating. And there's some big players, in that who have their entire business using battery operated equipment, and they're not using gas anymore. And they have like solar panels like mounted on their trailers and whatnot that charge this equipment. So I think that was something else that was a wonderful surprise, was seeing how mindful this industry is, about our environment and the changes that they're making, as well as thinking about the challenges that this industry is having around labor and setting up automations and softwares that can help support their team to get a lot more things done, not only in the field, but in the office.
Yeah, so the efficiency through technology and automation. You're making me think, in the How to Hire the Best Contractors edition, I actually interviewed you about that, and you talked about how that increases profitability. You're quoted in there talking about that. And just to bring this full circle, the tool that you talked about at the very beginning, how to figure out if the return on investment is there for investing in equipment, applies to all the automation and technology and new equipment that's out there, because you have significant decision points in your business if you're going to take advantage of some of this new technology. And you have to know if there's ROI there, if it's going to be profitable for you.
Yeah. I've even had business owners email me and ask, well, what's your opinion on the battery operated equipment and moving from gas, and when should we make that move, and what's the ROI, and how do I figure that out? And, because they're looking at cycling out a lot of their equipment and moving to something else. So it's kind of interesting when I get those emails and I'm like, okay, well, let me think about this for a little bit and, see how we can approach it, because it is a big move, right? Anytime you implement a new software, you change equipment, you add a service, you have to know what it's going to bring to the table and how it's going to impact your business and your team.
Well, yes, the impact on the business and the team, because there's a lot of hidden costs and team time and learning, switching things over, getting people just up to speed. And you talk about having a champion. Whenever you bring something new into your business, you have to have those champions, because if it's just all on you, the business owner, it's not going to get fully implemented.
And we have these great ideas, right? Where we're like, we're going to do this and we're going to run off into this direction. And it's really, the only way that's going to happen is you can't be driving that bus. Yes, you get everybody convinced to get on the bus and go on this trip and then cheer them on, but having somebody else in the driver's seat and just kind of keeping you updated on, the forward progression. Because if you're not optimizing the software that you have or the systems that you have in your business, and it's typically a software platform is optimized like 20%. And, what's the 80% potential in the gain of profit if you were to implement the full system or the full software?
Yeah. So, Christine, I want to acknowledge you because you're a significant innovator in the lawn care and landscape industry and supporting business owners and being more profitable. And I know just from things you started talking about here, there's more innovation, more tools that are coming that you're going to keep finding simple ways for business owners to get the answers they need to make strategic decisions to be profitable. So you have the Profit First for Lawn Care and Landscape business book. It's out there on Amazon. It's available. It's now coming out on Audible. So I want to give you a chance to talk about that and let people know where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so it is officially coming out. So it could be pretty much any day now. And I read it myself, the entire book, which was a journey. And it was also really great to verbally hear. And I mean, you've probably been through this process, but all the things that went into the book and how it's communicating, to your audience. And I think that was something else to where it was a pleasure reading the book and being able to connect with, this industry, through the journey of all the stories of the people that are in the book and the processes. So the audiobook will be available on Amazon. And then we also have some special bonuses. We'll be releasing a link on social media, and it should be available through our website too. But it is book.profitfirst for lawn care and landscape .com/audiobook. And one of the things that I did with the book, because anybody who has a hard copy of the book knows there are a lot of charts and other tools and visuals that I share in the book. We didn't want anybody to miss out, with the release of the audiobook. So we also have a really great workbook that is being released as a downloadable PDF with the audiobook that gives them every single chart. It gives them extra verbiage on directions and the whys and things behind that associated with the charts as I talk about them through the book. So that way they can download it and have all the goodies. And it also connects them with the free toolbox that we have, the Green Profit Toolbox. So if they went to that link, they would get all those things and a special bonus that we are going to be giving away for the release of the audiobook. So anybody who goes to the book.profitfirst for lawn care and landscape.com/audiobook, they can get access to that special bonus when they purchase the audiobook.
Excellent. So in your usual fashion, you've looked for ways to make things easier for those business owners by creating tools and a downloadable workbook that accompanies the book. And I want to share a tip for those of you listening. If you are a consumer of books, as someone who has read their own audiobooks, when the author reads their own audiobook, you'll hear subtleties in how the information is being conveyed that you don't get in the written book. So you get it at a deeper level. And I actually have people who'll tell me they've read the book and then they listen to it on Audible or vice versa because they heard it at a different level than the written word. And they heard my intonation or the way I said certain things or the way I got into the stories. And I'm sure you do too, because you have your own stories in the book. And when you read those as the author, the listener picks up things that they didn't get from the written book.
Yeah, so it's exciting, I think, to read your own book and share the message that, you put in writing and is out there. And so I hope it makes it easier for this industry to connect with the information. And if they haven't gotten through the hard copy, they'll get through the audiobook because they can listen to it while they drive. They spend a lot of time out in the field. So that was the reason we wanted to make sure that the audiobook was available. And so we're super excited that it's finally here. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to be a part of getting the word out and supporting you in this and supporting others in in lawn care and landscape. But also, if you're listening to this and you're not in lawn care and landscape, you can benefit from the tools in this toolbox that are associated with this book. So don't let that be a barrier for you to access this as well. So Christeen, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast and being a repeat guest and sharing your gifts with others, because these truly are your gifts.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I love connecting with you and your audience, and I appreciate all the support.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this. If you've gotten value from today's show, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you are a repeat listener of the podcast, know that we greatly appreciate you at Tap the Potential. And to that end, I have a request. please consider leaving us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Our reviews help other entrepreneurs like you to find us. Be a part of our movement to help entrepreneurs take your life back from your business.